Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Today I've decided I'm going to keep uploading on this channel regularly rather than leaving it another year. So you're getting another video 2 days in a row. It will be less often than this I upload, but today I just was in the mood to film another video. So here you go. Here's another video. Today we will be ranking every single Fortnite season. A lot of these I maybe don't have great explanations for. A lot of these it might just be because I didn't play much, so I don't really have, that sort of experience of playing that season. There could be a lot of other reasons. There could be actual reasons for having them in that place. But you will just have to wait and see. Let's get started ranking all 41 seasons, which is pretty crazy. Coming in 41st place, I have got to put Chapter 7 Season 2. Now, the reason I have Chapter 7 Season 2 in the last place is genuinely just because it's like the season I've played the least. I'm sure if I played it a little bit more than I actually did, I'd probably have it a little bit higher on my list. But just due to the fact I don't really remember anything about the season already, and I think I probably played a maximum of like 3 or 4 games of it, I have to put it here purely just because I don't have the experience of playing that season, and because I found it boring for the few games that I did actually play of the season. Moving on to number 40, it is Chapter 5, Season 3. This season was just too chaotic. It was not a chaotic good, it was a really bad version of chaotic. The cars were just too much, and honestly just made for the season to become unbearable. Couldn't play it, because it felt like you had to have a car and be in a car to play the game, and I just didn't really enjoy the cars that season. And I just kind of wanted to be able to play the game normally without having to drive a car every 5 minutes. So it just didn't work in that way for me. And it was just, once again, way too chaotic for me to even enjoy it. Coming in number 39 is Chapter 7 Season 1. This is another Chapter 7 season, that I just barely played. I played like probably a total of like maybe slightly more, maybe like 10 games or something like that. But also it was just another season that I just found incredibly boring. I don't really remember enough about. And all I remember is playing them couple games and just being like, this is terrible, I'm getting off. I genuinely hate the map so much. And I think that was the main reason I decided not to play. I'm sure I would have loved it if I got used to the map and actually, enjoyed the map. But it was purely just because of a bad map, in my opinion, that I was just like, I'm bored of this, I'm getting off, I'm waiting for something good to happen in the game. Coming in number 38, I have Chapter 7 Season 3, the current season. This one, I genuinely don't think I've played a single game. No, I've played like 2 or 3 games of Battle Royale in total. And after that, I've genuinely just kind of like given up with Battle Royale at this point. I've been playing a lot of Reload. That is the only reason that this is above the previous like couple of seasons that I've already just mentioned on this list. And in case you don't know what that reason is, it is because I've been enjoying Reload a lot. The Simpsons map in Reload really does help things, but if we're talking about specifically Battle Royale, it is just a bad season, and it really does suck because I used to love this game, and I feel like Battle Royale has just had a massive downfall. Reload is genuinely the one thing that keeps me playing, and I think that's why I have to put this season above the previous 2, because I have actually been playing it for the Reload part. Coming in number 37, I've got Chapter 6 Season 4. This is the Bugs one. I just don't have any memories of playing it. I definitely played it a lot more than some of these Chapter 7 seasons, but I just didn't play it enough to like really have any like memories or like anything for the season that I can like say that's very positive. I just found it quite boring, just like the other ones, but slightly better, probably because I played a little bit more and actually enjoyed the map compared to the Chapter 7 map that we are on now. Coming in number 36 is Chapter 6 Season 2. This is another one where it's just like, I barely played it. I feel like, once you get into Chapter 6 and 7 seasons, they're just seasons that I barely played. I didn't enjoy much at all, and if anything, the only thing I can really say about them, positive or negative, is I found them boring, and it just didn't feel like the old Fortnite that I used to love, and this is one of the prime examples of that. It just wasn't. I'm sure it would have been great if I played it more, but I did just find it boring from what I did play of it. Why was I about to say chapter? Sorry, 35. I have chapter 6, season 1. Now this one I do have a lot more memories of actually playing. The only problem is I didn't get Godzilla, which really still annoys me. I didn't manage to become Godzilla at any point. But that's not a proper reason. That's not a proper reason why I have it this low. Honestly, I love the map. I love. To be fair, I did really enjoy a lot of things about it. It's just I feel like each season 1. I mean, only for a few of the season 1s, it isn't the greatest just because, it's a new map. So it's just, it's fun to explore for the first maybe a week or so. But then eventually it's a bit it just almost feels like the same thing over and over again, purely just because they don't really do many updates because you've already got a new map and that's probably enough for the season. But I mean, that could just be me. I don't really pay attention to a lot of the updates now, so I could be really wrong about that. But honestly, this season 1, I just kind of found boring and a bit the map was fun, Godzilla was fun, but other than that, there's nothing really memorable about it. Now, I could be wrong about the updates thing, right? Because I generally don't pay attention to updates, so I could be way off there, and I really do apologise if I am wrong with that. But I think the main points that I'm trying to say here for this one is I find it a bit boring just purely because there's nothing memorable to me. Coming in number 34, I have Chapter 6, Season 3, the superhero season. Now, this one just I feel like had the best theme to it. Another season where it's Chapter 6, I was starting to find the game a bit boring. But this is one that I probably played the most of in Chapter 6 just because I really enjoyed the theme of superheroes and stuff. I don't think I watched any events if there was any. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't keeping up with any sort of story things or whatever. I was just having fun at some of the new locations, and overall I just had a bit of fun while still it was in my point where I was finding the game pretty bad and boring, but it was also a season where I really liked the theme, so I was a bit yeah, I'm actually enjoying this for once. Coming in number 33, it is actually Chapter 3, Season 3, which is actually pretty cool because, just 3, 3, 3, 3. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that because, it's probably not actually that cool. Anyway, pretty much my only explanation for this is it was a summer season. It just wasn't a fun summer season. Occasionally you get a fun summer season, but most of the time it is just a bit boring because I'm pretty sure Epic do take a bit of a break during the summer. Unless that's during the winter. I actually can't remember. But yeah, I just normally find it a bit boring. Just nothing really in the game at that time that really gets me excited and gets me wanting to play the game or anything. It's just a bit, it's a fine season because it doesn't really do anything wrong. It's just a bit boring and just nothing to it, if that makes sense. Coming in at number 32, this is the Chapter 1 season I have the lowest, but it's Chapter 1 Season 9. Now, I remember at the time, this was the season I hated the most, just because of the fact that I just found it so boring and I just found it so irritating, some of the guns. I really didn't like to use them. Over time now, going back and playing it in the actual OG mode, I do enjoy it a lot more than I did before. But also, it still just isn't a great season to me, and it's definitely very low down on a list of seasons that I would, love to go back and revisit. Obviously, it's Chapter 1, so I would like to go back and revisit it for a full season, not just a game mode. But also, it is also probably the bottom of the list of seasons I'd like to revisit, just because I didn't really enjoy the loot pool as that much that season. Some of the locations, I didn't really like Neo Tilted or whatever it's called. I was fine with Mega Mall. Other than that, it just wasn't, a season that I have too many good memories from, especially because I had taken my longest break from Fortnite that I had ever taken up to that point. Coming in number 31 is Chapter 2 Season 6. The reason I have this in the 31st spot is just because it wasn't a very great season, right? It was mainly down to the loot pool. I think if the loot pool was different, I think the loot pool was just so unbearable that I just couldn't play the game. I just genuinely just couldn't play the game. Hated the whole crafting system. overall, the map was fine, I'd say. And I'd say once you've crafted the weapons and stuff, and like, you could get those like normal weapons back, I think then the loot pool was fine. But it was just, you had to, like, it was just such a complicated crafting system, in my opinion, for me back then, especially. And overall, it just wasn't, I think I was also feeling a bit burnt out during that season. So I wish I could go back and revisit it and, give it a second chance, because I'm sure I would have loved it, to be honest. I'm sure I would have, especially on the Chapter 2 map, which I did love so much. But overall, just because of the fact that that I don't really have feeling burnt out at that time, and I was also like, and I didn't really like the loot pool, I have to put it lower down because I didn't enjoy the season when I was actually playing it. Entering the top 30, now we have our lowest placed Chapter 4 season, which is Chapter 4 Season 3. The reason I have Chapter 4 Season 3 here is just because it's another summer season. It was fine, but just not really much to it. I enjoyed the map in this season. The Mammoth Revolver was definitely the standout of the season for me. So the loot pool was good, the map was good. It was just a summer season, not much going on. Overall, that's probably the worst I can say about it. And now we're getting into the seasons that I find enjoyable. And I'll let you know when we get to the seasons that I find good or great. Going into number 29, I have Chapter 5 Season 2. This is a season where I played the first half a lot, then the second half I started to get bored. It kind of dropped off. I liked some of the LTMs in the season. I liked the loot pool. I liked the new POIs. There wasn't much wrong with it. It was just a season where halfway through I started to, feel a bit bored, and maybe that is why I didn't like Chapter 5 Season 3. Maybe I was feeling a bit burnt out. But overall, talking about this season, it was fine. I just started to feel a bit bored of the game about halfway through, so I can't really judge the second half that much. But based on the first half, I did enjoy it, and that's probably the best thing I can say about it. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't one of the best seasons of all time. In 28th, I have Chapter 2 Season 8, which actually is quite funny, just 33rd place. It's, same numbers. Anyway, enough of that. This season, it was all right. It was another enjoyable season. This season, I unfortunately didn't really enjoy the loot pool that much. But I thought the map was all right. There could have been a bit more map changes, but overall, it was all right. There wasn't anything too special. I feel like the main thing I can really remember from the season is the cubes being in it. I remember having that feeling all right, it's the end of the chapter. Just going to create some last, good memories of the chapter. I remember playing with my friends a lot during this season. And overall, the event leading into the season and the event exiting the season really impacted what my, feelings of the season was. And it impacted it positively. I enjoyed the season. I just didn't think it was spectacular or anything like that. Coming in at number 27, I have Chapter 3 Season 2. This is one where I thought some of the, concepts and ideas that they introduced in the season, like Zero Build, were really interesting and really did add a fun aspect to the game. I just think that, as the season went on, this is another one where it just kind of dropped off as the season went on. Overall, once again, this is another one where, the best thing I can say about it was it's enjoyable. It's not a spectacular season, but I do think I had to put it a bit higher than the other seasons in this sort of category, purely just because of some of the ideas it, put in place, like Zero Build, just some of the theme, just stuff like that. Coming in number 26 is Chapter 5 Season 4. Now, I'm a massive Marvel fan, so seeing another Marvel season come about after Chapter 2 Season 4, which was an incredible season, you'll see where that is in a bit. I loved this Marvel season. I don't care why no one says. I think it was really underrated. Now, is it a perfect season? No, it definitely isn't. It definitely had its flaws. But this is, the start of the seasons that I would say are good to starting to become great. This one had real potential to be incredible and one of the best, just like Chapter 2 Season 4. But unfortunately, it didn't quite live up to that. But I definitely think it was a really good season. And personally for me, I genuinely just had a lot of fun playing this season, especially because of the Marvel theme to it, because I am such a big Marvel fan. And I was loved seeing the different locations in there and just the different hints to Marvel movies and comics. So guys, coming in 25th spot is Chapter 1 Season 1. Now, I do think this was a good season, and you might be all Archie, you're crazy. Why are you putting chapter 1, season 1 all the way down in 25? The reason for that is not anything negative. Well, I do have a point. It's like, if it came out, during chapter 2, it'd get a lot of hate for being nothing, for being literally nothing going on. But since it is the first season, I do have to give it that. That is the reason why there's not much, because it was the first season. Everyone was just experiencing this game for the first time, and it was still a fun, new, exciting experience. Now, the real reason I have it in 25th is because I didn't actually own the game back then in chapter 1, season 1. The reason that I have it on the list in that case is because I played it on friends' accounts and stuff like that. I played it on friends' accounts. Obviously got to experience it during, the OG like game mode that's currently out, and it's on season 9 right now. But like, I'm not gonna count that. I played it on friends' accounts, and I'm gonna count that just because I actually did play it back then on a friend's account and stuff. But overall, I can't rate it too highly. I can't rate it higher than some of the other seasons that I genuinely played a lot of, even on my account. So, I have to give it something for being a good season, but I can't give it too high because I didn't personally play it on my own account. I played it on other people's accounts, and not too often. Coming in at number 24, I have season 10 of chapter 1. Now, I actually thought this was one of the best seasons I had ever played at the time. Now, bringing it down for me at the moment, actually, is literally just the mechs, because of how annoying they actually were, like, looking back on it. Like, how annoying the mechs were at the time. It was quite annoying. That's the only thing bringing the season down. And honestly, that's all I really have to say for it. That I found it really enjoyable. Just the mechs, kind of did have to bring it down a little bit for me. Coming in at number 23 is chapter 5, season 1. This is another one where I'm probably not going to end up saying too much. But, like, it was a really enjoyable start to chapter 5. And honestly, I think it was, one of the better first seasons in a chapter. I really enjoyed the map. I really liked some of the new systems put in place. And overall, I just thought it was a fun experience on a brand new map. And I did have some amazing memories playing with my friends during this season. So I got to give it something for that. So guys, coming in at number 22 is chapter 3, season 1. Now, honestly, I'm literally just going to say the same things as chapter 5, season 1. Good map, had a lot of fun playing with friends, and just an overall fun time in the game. Like the web slinging for Spider-Man, and pretty much that is it. I know that was short, but it is literally just the same reasons as chapter 5, season 1, and that is why I have them so close together. So guys, coming in at number 21 has got to be Galactic Battle, a Star Wars season. Now, I'm also a massive Star Wars fan, as I said about Marvel. That's why I have this so high. I understand people's problems with this. Just like, I could see the problems in it, but I'm not going to let that, change my opinion on it. I just enjoyed this. I enjoyed the loot pool. I enjoyed the weapons. I enjoyed everything Star Wars related in this season. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Chapter 6 map. I did really enjoy the map, as I said earlier, right? It wasn't my favourite map ever. But I'm also not going to let the map ruin my enjoyment of the season. As a big Star Wars fan, I was overall really satisfied with this season. Some of the skins we got, some of the weapons we got, I was just happy that season. Coming in number 20 is Chapter 5, Season 2. Now, my only real negative about this was just the fact that the sand tunneling was genuinely broken for half the season. Other than that, I genuinely enjoyed everything else. It was the map was fun. All the different new collabs was fun. How we got a new collab pretty much every week in the season. I just thought it was a really fun time, and it was coming off of just one of my favorite seasons ever. So maybe you could say that puts it down just because this was a little bit worse in it. But overall, I was still having a lot of fun with Fortnite, and it still just was a good time for me playing the game. I was just having fun every day. So guys, coming in at number 19 is Chapter 3, Season 4. Once again, a season I find really underrated. I liked a lot of the chrome related things. I liked the weapons and stuff. I liked the loot. I loved the loot pool, in fact. I loved the Chapter 3 map, and I remember just having so many memories. I feel like whenever I'm playing a lot with my friends, it does really influence the season. And this was one of those seasons that I played a lot with my friends. So once again, that also just influences the season and my opinions on it. I had a lot of fun, doing different, trying new things, on YouTube, on a different channel. From years ago, in this season, I'd done a 50 drops at Sleepy Sound. And I did honestly find that some of the most fun I've ever had playing the game. even if it wasn't, even if, yeah, the season did have a lot of problems, even if it wasn't one of my favorite seasons, like in terms of, you know, just like, I guess, content and stuff. I did think the loophole was all right, and I did think the map was all right. Some of the new mechanics were all right, but it was purely just down to the fun I had playing with my friends that really brought it up for me. So guys, in 18th is Chapter 1, Season 6. This is another season that I just like. This is actually one of the first seasons, sorry, on this list that I have that like really like nostalgic feeling for. I really loved it. It was the first season I got to tier 100, so I honestly, back then, that was a massive achievement for me, and I was really proud of myself and really, really, really excited and happy about getting that. So that really boosted my opinion of the season. Overall, yeah, there was a few flaws, especially coming off of Chapter 1, Season 4 and 5, where they were some of the best in Fortnite history. But that's not going to affect my opinion on the season too much. I just had a lot of fun during the season. Halloween vibes are always great in Fortnite, and that also just added on to the season. And overall, it was just a fun time, to be honest. Honestly, 17th is Chapter 4, Season 2. This is another season where it's like, I just loved the loot pool. I loved the new POIs on the map. And once again, it's just another season where it's just an overall good vibe. I feel like a lot of these top spots, I don't really have much to say other than just good vibe, good loot pool, I cannot speak today. Good loot pool. And, you know, overall, just like everything was good from the loot pool to the map. And just the vibes were good, having fun with my friends, just everything to do with that. I feel like that is my main description for these top spots. So I might have to zoom through a few of them. But that is my main reasons for Chapter 4, Season 2. Coming in 16th is Chapter 2, Season 1. Now, a lot of people's complaints about the season is due to the fact there was only one update in the longest season in Fortnite history. Now, that didn't really affect me at the time. I was having a lot of fun on a new map. It was like just at the start of lockdown and stuff as well, like just at the start of COVID time, and it was like, you know, we weren't actually in lockdown, but I was also just a lazy kid, so I was technically already in my own little lockdown anyway. So you know, there's that, I guess. Anyway, I just had a lot of fun with it. I genuinely just had a lot of fun with it. I was just messing around all the time. I wasn't taking the game too seriously, and honestly, I didn't even know really that there was weekly updates or anything to do with updates at all really back then. I didn't pay attention to updates. Only if it's like a massive season like update or something like new POI getting released, new season coming out, for example. I'd 100% know about that. I'd know about that every time. But I didn't really care about the small updates. So honestly, that this season was genuinely just like a fun season for me that I could just take at my own pace, if that makes sense. Coming in number 15th is Chapter 1, Season 3. Now, this and one of the other Chapter 1 seasons, I don't really have many memories of. Now, I did play it a lot, and I remember loving it so much. And I do love a lot about it. You know, the loot pool was good. You know, the map was good. Overall, I just remember having such a good time with it. But also don't really have like many memories at the same time. I just remember enjoying it at the time. So it's a bit of a weird one. And the other one I'm going to mention as well. But I know I had to put it high. And I think 15th is a good spot for Chapter 1, Season 3. Coming in the 14th spot is Chapter 2, Season 7. This one is another one where it was literally just fun. I didn't have anything, you know, that was bad about the season. I didn't take the season too seriously. I just tried to have as much fun as possible. And another season where I think it was just the overall vibe that really puts it so high. I was having fun with my friends all the time in this one. And honestly, I just thought it was just a fun season and nothing too wrong with it. Nothing to really complain about. Coming in 13th is Chapter 1, Season 2. I'm not going to go over this again. This is exactly the same as Chapter 1, Season 3, where I remember loving the season at a time. You know, good look, good map, and stuff like that. Just don't really have it's a weird one where I don't have too many memories. I just remember playing it and really loving it, if that makes sense. Coming in 12th, I used to have this like right up at the top, Chapter 2 Remix. Now, the reason for that is because I feel like the actual Chapter 2 seasons were better than this. Although I do think it was some of the most fun I had revisiting Chapter 2 I just thought it was such a good time, and especially because chapter 2 was probably one of my favorite chapters. Definitely in the top 3, 100%. No questions about that. It was really fun, but I'd rather it be more accurate to the real chapter 2 rather than, this much of a remix of it. Coming in 11th is chapter 4, season 4. It's another season where I loved the vibe of it. I was playing all the time with my friends. Now, this season does have a bit more to it. I also loved how it reminded me so much of Chapter 2, Season 2, which was a season that I did love so much. I loved how there was bosses in each 4 corners of the map. Overall, the map was great as well. The whole Chapter 4 map, the whole way through, it was just incredible. Every section of it, every corner, the middle, the center, everything in it. I remember every part of the map, pretty much every detail at this point, right? Because of how fun it was, it's just such a memorable map, such a fun map that I really hope that we get to revisit one day. Because genuinely, chapter 4 could be my favorite chapter, and this season really contributes to that fact because of just how good the season was. So guys, coming in at number 10 is chapter 1, season 5. This is another one where a lot of it is to do with just the memories I had. This was back in the day where everything to do with Fortnite was just amazing. It was so fun, just perfect in my opinion. This was one of the most this was the time when Fortnite was probably at its peak as well. Probably one of the highest player counts in the game if I were to predict anything. Also, just this was one of the times where I'd be playing with people all the time. It didn't really matter who. I'd be just playing with anyone, whether it's cousins, whether it's friends. And back then it was just a different feeling, not having all these different new mechanics and additions to the game, I guess. There wasn't anything like sprinting or mantling. It was just simple. It was just a simple game, and it was just a lot of fun. And the game has changed a lot since then, so maybe playing it now would maybe be a bit harder if there's no sprinting, for example. But this was a time that was so much more simple, and it just so many great memories. I don't really know what else to say about it other than just great memories. It was just a better time of Fortnite. So guys, in number 9 is chapter 1 OG. This brought me back to that chapter 1 OG feeling, while also not making it too simple without sprinting or any of the necessary sort of mechanics that we have these days that kind of now make the game what it is at this current stage. Obviously, it would have been nice if it was maybe more accurate, for example, having the accurate version of Greasy Grove all iced over during the season 7 period. But overall, I think they've done it in a very good way, where we got to experience sort of an OG version of Fortnite. Maybe not 100% accurate OG version, but definitely an OG version that all of the older fans of the game, all the players that played back in 2017, 2018 can experience again and enjoy the game as they enjoyed it before. So guys, coming in at number 8 is chapter 2, season 4. As I told you earlier, I'm a massive Marvel fan, so having this fully Marvel themed season really just hearing about it happening and just experiencing it was probably one of my favorite times in Fortnite. As well as coming off the back of 2 incredible seasons, coming into this one having so many brand new amazing mythics, great new areas and locations of the map, and great new mechanics, I guess. It was all just incredible to me, and just a memory that I'll always have, playing at some of my favourite locations that the game has ever offered, such as Stark Industries, actually feeling like Marvel has actually just came into Fortnite. It almost didn't feel like a collab. It almost started to feel like a mixture of a Marvel game and a Battle Royale game, like a Marvel Battle Royale game, rather than 2 separate things as a collab. I actually started to feel like they could have made... I don't even know how to explain it. It was just it worked so well. It worked so well, even though it was a full collab season. It just worked so much better than any other collab season has ever worked before. And I just love Marvel. I love Fortnite. So this really worked for me. So guys, coming in at number 7 is Chapter 1, Season 4. This is another one where it's just like everything was perfect. The storyline at the time was like some of the most entertaining stuff Fortnite had ever started to create, because it was also just the start of the storyline, and it was like so interesting. It was like something new pretty much got revealed every week. You know, there's so many interesting things going on. Also, the start of the live events in Fortnite, so many new things got introduced, but not to the point where it felt overwhelming like not previous, but later on seasons. It's also it almost felt like the start of like Fortnite as it is to this day. Like, you think of Fortnite, I feel like you're thinking probably of that chapter 2 or that season 2 to season 4 period, but mainly probably season 4 and onwards, because of the fact that that was probably the real start to Fortnite, because, you know, their storyline and everything that like the storyline is today, you know, a lot of new sort of, I guess, collabs also, all of that kind of got introduced in chapter 1 season 4, with the storyline starting here and the first ever Fortnite collab being in this season. So guys, coming in at number 6, which could be really surprising to you, but it's a Simpsons season. All of my videos have been set during a sort of Simpsons sort of, you know, themed sort of time in Fortnite, with the past 2 being in like Reload and the other one being in the actual Simpsons season. So I don't think it should be a surprise that I really love the whole Simpsons sort of thing in Fortnite. And I wouldn't mind getting a full Simpsons chapter in Fortnite, because I feel like it's just so perfect. The art style, you know, bringing a more animated style to the map in general. The loot pool is always amazing during the Simpsons like sort of times in Fortnite, and I feel like it's overall just really fun, because it's like it almost feels like the game doesn't take itself too seriously, and it almost feels like you're back in those like simpler days of Fortnite, whereas like not everything had to be like just like filled with like overcomplicated storylines, and it's just like a fun sort of chill sort of map, I guess. And I don't really know how else to explain it other than it's just a vibe, and it just feels like a break from the chaotic battle royale and like normal sort of Fortnite maps to have a full Simpsons themed animated sort of map. And I feel like it's also more like pleasing to look at for my eyes, rather than look at them more like, I guess I feel realistic. No, it's not really realistic current battle royale, but it's like just it's not as fun to look at. It's not as like colourful and stuff. Coming in at number 5 is Chapter 2 Season 2. Now, people might be expecting this to be at number 1, because this was an incredible season. It was groundbreaking for Fortnite, introducing mythics and bosses for the first time in the history of the game. And overall, it was just an incredible spy-themed season. And that's kind of all I really need to say about it. Just like how incredible it was, some of the new things they introduced in the game, and just overall vibe of the season was, once again, just incredible. So many great memories from back then, and also Chapter 2 was just a good time for Fortnite. Coming in number 4 is Chapter 2 Season 3. Now, this used to be my favourite season of all time. I just love the flooded map, and I know there's definitely more problems with the season than I'm willing to accept, but I just had such a fun time playing on the map. I genuinely don't have any other things that like really made me have it this high. I just thought it was so sick having a map like this. I guess I also really liked some of the new features added, like raiding sharks and like the loot pool. And it was only the second season of having mythics and bosses, so that was really like still new and fresh. But it was mainly the map. The main thing for me was the map and how cool and unique it was at the time. So guys, in number 3 is Chapter 1 Season 7. It's Christmas. I don't really have anything else to say. Winterfest, Christmas, everything to do with Christmas is always just such a fun time. And I felt like I could just chill and just enjoy Christmas. It could also just be to do with the time of the year it was, where it's just like, you know, it's cold outside. Playing Fortnite is probably your best, you know, thing to do. Because it was just, especially back then, because it was just fun. It was at its peak. And especially during the winter months, you know, Christmas and everything, it was just a great time of life and Fortnite. And, you know, it's got to be up there. in number 2, I might seem like a psycho to you, but it's Chapter 4, Season 1. Chapter 4 Season 1 was just the best start to a chapter I've ever experienced. I was having so much fun playing with my friends. All of my friends. This was the first time in a while that everyone had been on together enjoying the game. I also thought it was just an incredible map. You know, one of the best maps I felt like I'd seen in a long time. I feel like a lot of them had like at least 1 or 2 locations that I didn't really fully enjoy. But this one didn't really have that for me. And overall, I just thought that map was just incredible. And overall, once again, was just a great time for Fortnite. My number 1 spot for the best Fortnite season of all time is Chapter 1 Season 8. This is another one where it just comes down to the memories. I remember the memories of like me just having so much fun during the season, the incredible loot pool, the new POIs. Everything was incredible. The end of season live event was, once again, spectacular. And just an event you had to be there and witness. Also, I remember opening day, you know, the game updating for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, we're about, this is the best season ever. I remember that even just like the opening trailer, in my opinion, was just perfection. And this was genuinely my favorite time for Fortnite. And I wish we could just go back there and repeat it over and over and over again. So guys, that is now the end of the video there. I just want to say I am actually genuinely so sorry for how long this video ended up being. But if you did enjoy it, please make sure to like, subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.